Morning all, welcome. It is Monday, 5th of June 2023. This is our 8am movement snack. A bit earlier than normal though, okay? 7:15, that's where we're aiming for. Cup of tea in hand. Morning Mrs P, how the devil are you? Good to see you, good to have you with us. Excuse me while I just have a quick drink of tea. Oh, early start, early doors. Racing out of the house. Got to find my trainers, they're somewhere. They're around somewhere. I think Monday I came, Sunday night, Saturday, Monday, Friday even. I came home and just took them off and I haven't got a clue where they are. They're around somewhere, so we'll sort it. Well, hopefully anyway, we'll sort it. They're going to be around somewhere, haven't they? Right, I think I can see Margaret in as well. Good to have you with us. Welcome to this early morning snack on a Monday, the 5th of June. Can you believe it? We're hurtling towards that start of the year, aren't we? Or middle of the point of the year. So this is our mobilisation, circulation boosting snap time to get things moving and grooving. Now I know we always have low numbers whenever I do them early, and a lot of people catch up. So we'll go for it, shall we? Okay, so we'll have our 3, 2, 1, our whoosh ping straight away with a bong. Good morning, everybody. Welcome along. You're with myself, Dave Montgomery from Later Life Training. Today is Monday. It is the 5th of June, 2023. This is our 8am movement snack, just a little bit earlier, okay? So, as always, standing or seated, that is your choice. If we're in standing and we're using support, we need some fixed external support. Seated, strong, sturdy chair. Nothing on the floor to cause us any issues. I've got my socks on because I can't find my trainers. They're around somewhere. I'll find them in a bit and we'll be sorted. But this is where we start to get the body moving, ready for the day ahead. So, starting with our posture. In seated, we're going to bring ourselves forward in that chair. So we're in the front third of the chair. And then we're going to line everything up. Heels in line with knees, knees in line with hips. Create a little bit of space between your ribs and hips. Shoulders up, back and down. And we're ready to start with our circulation boosting. Pedaling the feet to start off with. Making sure we keep this neck lengthened as well, so we've got a good amount of space around us. And then from there, bring this into a march. Lifting the foot clear of the floor, so we start to get some movement into there. Controlled movements, flowing movements is what we're looking for here, okay? Seated and standing, same movement, using our support and standing if we need to. And remembering in seated that if you feel any fatigue into your hip flexors, you've always got that option to come back into those heel raises. From there, we can start to make the march a little bit bigger. And in standing, oops, there we go, there's Lottie. We can start to make the march a little bit bigger. And in standing, we can start to point the toes down towards the floor. Bringing an arm in, just the one. Other hand is on support in standing if you're using it. And seated, you've got one arm. And if we're not using support in standing and if we are in seated, then we can just change the hand to the other side. However, if we are using support, we always need to make sure we've got a hand on the support so the hand comes down before the other one comes off. Therefore, if it's to the side, you support, you're going to need to do it a little bit differently. You lose the one arm, start to make the march a little bit smaller, take as many steps as you need to turn into your support, hand on, so you've got both hands on as you're facing into your support. You carry on turning then, and then as you've gone to the other side, you can bring the other arm in. Finally, seated and standing, if we're not using support, both arms, both legs, more body moving, more demand. That's what we're looking for. Okay? Keeping the body upright and tall, lifted and lengthened, getting ready to take on the day ahead. Now, as we get to 2 minutes, 3 minutes max, let's start to bring this down. So start to lose the arms, make the march a little bit smaller again, back into those heel raises, and then to a pause. Might want to take a couple of deep breaths. We're ready to move into our mobilisation. So we start at the top and we work our way down. Top trio firstly, head and shoulders. Second, same in seated as in standing. Let's get this posture back in. Keep the neck lengthened. Shoulders lift up towards the ears, and then we press them down, keeping the neck lengthened. It's a straight up, straight down motion. No forward or backwards on those shoulders. And we're looking at 4 or 5 of these. Once you've done your 4 or 5, have a momentary pause and then let's rotate it. So come forward, up towards our ears, back past the earlobe, shoulder blades together and press down. So we get this cyclical motion happening, rotating around. And again, 4 or 5 of these, slow and controlled so we can feel every part of the shoulder moving and we can get the best possible movement. And then have a pause there. Let's take it to our head and the neck now then. Use support if you need it. Get your balance back in with that good base of support. Turn the head to the side. Pause in the centre and then turn the head the other way. So for me, check out what's happening in the back garden. Be nosy in the front. And there we go. Chin stays level though and it's controlled. It's not super slow, but it's not a fast movement and this little pause in the centre is really important. 4 or 5 on each side, thinking about how many times you're going to turn your head in a day. Loads of them, yeah? Once you've done our 4 or 5, let's take a little pause. I'm coming in from your kneeling position. We're going to straighten out through the back here. So fingers on chin as a guide, eye line stays level, draw back, come forward. Now we can either keep fingers on the chin or we can leave the fingers where they are and come back in. We've got 4 or 5 of these. Lengthening through the back of the neck, restacking the head onto the top of the spine, getting that centre of gravity. Again, 4 or 5. And once you've done your 4 or 5, have a little pause and we're back into a reboost of our circulation. Legs only. So get a march going. And we're looking around about 30 seconds here as far as this is concerned. So, pumping those legs through. Deep breaths into our nose and mouth. And then as we get to that 30 seconds, bring it back down to a smaller movement. Back into a pause and we're ready to move into the trunk. Think about how many times we bend and reach and twist. This is why we mobilise our trunk. Now, first things first, bigger base of support. So heels outside of our hips this time, in line with our shoulders, down to the side, pause in the centre, down the other way. If you're using support in front, change every time. If your support's to the side, into support and back down. Your feet stay firmly on the floor. So when we do this in seated, it's all about our bum. Same movement, but the bottom stays firmly on that chair. We don't lift the buttock at all as we lean across. And what we actually do is not leaning, we're lengthening, we're reaching down. And again, straight down, straight up. A little pause in the centre, opportunity to reset, or have a bit of a, you know what, switch off and away I go, a bit of a pit stop. And once you've done 4 or 5, each side, have a pause, and let's go into our trunk rotation. So here we're going to work into twisting through this trunk. Seated wise, bottom stays firmly on the chair. We rotate to the side, we come in and pause in the centre, and then we take it the other way. Standing is all about your hips staying still, and it's exactly the same with your hands if you're using support. If you're in front, you change hands every time. To the side, you just go into the support and back. But we have to keep those hips still. So we've got another thing to think about. So you might want to use your support either behind or in front. And then if you feel that your hips are lifting away or your bottom is lifting away, that's going to tell you you've got movement into that hip area, and we don't want that. And again, think about how many times we do this move during the day. Continually turning, reaching, twisting, all of those sorts of movements. 4 or 5 on each side of those and make them as big a movement and as big a range as you can. Then let's take it into our lower back. So here we're now focusing on the pelvis. We don't want to tip it forward or backwards. So natural position, neutral position, knees bent, nose bent, knees bent, slightly softened. Lift and extend. So we're not actually leaning backwards, we're keeping this pelvis still. So again, in standing, you might want to use your support to give you that input, because in seated, I can feel through the way that my bottom and the top part of my thighs are touching that chair, whether I've got any movement. So I'm getting that extra input, which means I can put all of my focus into this movement and not worry about that movement into my pelvis. So lift, extend, come back in and release. It's not a lean, it's an extension, okay? So we want to be leaning backwards. Once you've done 4 or 5 of those, have a pause and we're back into another reboost upper body this time, so arms only, driving those elbows backwards, getting a bigger movement into our upper body if we can. We can start to get some rotation to our chest here if we want to make it really bigger. Again, 30 seconds is what we're looking at, no more than that. And then as we get towards that 30 seconds, we'll start to bring it down again. So if you've gone nice and big, start to bring it down a little bit smaller. And then bring it into a pause. Now, if you're in seated and standing is not where you're going, you might want to go over one of the trunk movements again, or head and shoulders. Otherwise, let's take it to our ankle, feet and toes. Now, standing, one leg, the leg that's going to support you, knee stays softened. The other foot is going to come onto the floor with the toes, lift and put the heel in exactly the same place. We can take our eye line to the front eventually. Now, I've got a camera in front of me so I can see myself, so I can keep my head level, but you might want to look down the first couple, make sure you've got it. Heel on the floor, splay the toes. As you come across, scrunch them and then point them down. 4 or 5 on one side and then change to the other. Seated, we can do that same movement. We just need to readjust the feet so we can get the range. Or we might find it easier to come on back into the chair, extend the foot away in front, lift it about 1 inch or 2 inches off the floor. There's the point of the toes away. Here's the flexors if the heel's on the floor. Okay, as we point away, scrunch the toes. As you come back in, flex them out. And if you need to pop your foot down between each one or each couple, do. Once you do 4 or 5, change to the other side and be very careful that we keep it low. We don't allow that foot to drift up here. It's a low movement to the floor. Okay, and you want 4 or 5 of those on each side. Ankle mobility, so important in our walking. Reacting to movements underneath us as far as when the floor changes its level, its tilt, whatever it is, yeah? But here's that walk through, isn't it? The heel coming down and rolling onto the ball of the foot and then up onto the toes. There you go, that is our 8 AM movement stack for this Monday morning. I'll be back with you tomorrow morning. It'll be an early one tomorrow, probably about 6:45 or 6:30 even. So have a great day, stay active, stay mobile, keep crowbarring, and I'll see you real soon, everybody. Toodles! Double salute for you.